Harmony Heights. It sounds peaceful, right? Don't let the name fool you. This town held secrets, dark secrets. The biggest one, Blackwood Manor. It stood on a hill overlooking the town. A spooky old house. No one dared to go near it. The story went back years. A rich family, the Blackwoods, lived there. They were happy. Then one night, everything changed. Mr. Blackwood lost his mind. He locked all the doors and windows. Then he did something terrible. He trapped his family inside and set the house on fire. Locals say the Blackwoods still haunt the house. They say their screams echo in the wind. They say anyone who enters the house will suffer the same fate. No one dared to find out if it was true until now. It was a Friday night and a storm raged outside. Rain lashed against the windows. Wind howled like a hungry wolf. Inside, a group of friends huddled together. They were telling scary stories. "I dare you to go to Blackwood Manor," sneered Jake. He was the school bully. He always dared others to do stupid things. His eyes were on a girl named Kelly. She was new in town. Kelly didn't believe in ghosts. She thought the story was silly. To prove it, she agreed to go. "Fine," she said, trying to sound brave. "I'm not scared." 3 other friends, Ben, Emily and Chris, decided to go with her. They didn't want Kelly to face the unknown alone. They piled into Ben's old car. The rain was so heavy they could barely see the road ahead. The car crawled up the muddy hill towards Blackwood Manor. Lightning flashed. The house seemed to appear out of thin air. It was in bad shape. The windows were boarded up. The paint was peeling. The front porch sagged dangerously. "This is creepy," whispered Emily, clutching Chris's arm. "Let's just get this over with," said Ben, trying to sound tough. He parked the car a safe distance from the house. They all got out and stood there for a moment. The storm seemed to be getting worse. The wind whipped around them, carrying the scent of damp earth and something else, something foul. Taking a deep breath, Kelly led the way toward the front door. Each step seemed to echo in the silence. The heavy oak door creaked open as if it hadn't been touched in decades. The air inside was thick with dust and the smell of decay. Cobwebs hung from every corner, and the only light came from the occasional flashes of lightning. "Hello?" called out Kelly, her voice echoing in the stillness. There was no answer, only the sound of the wind whistling through the broken windows. They stepped inside, their eyes slowly adjusting to the gloom. The room was bare, except for a few pieces of furniture draped in dusty white sheets. It looked like whoever left this place did so in a hurry. "Do you hear that?" whispered Chris, suddenly grabbing Emily's hand. A low humming sound seemed to be coming from the floor above, accompanied by a faint scratching noise. They cautiously made their way up the grand staircase. The steps creaked ominously under their weight. Ben tripped on a loose floorboard, and the sound echoed through the house like a gunshot. "This place is giving me the creeps," muttered Ben, his voice shaky. As they reached the top of the stairs, the humming grew louder. It seemed to be coming from a room at the end of the hallway. The door was slightly ajar, and a pale light flickered inside. "Anyone home?" called out Kelly, her voice trembling slightly. Suddenly the door slammed shut with a loud bang. The sound sent shivers down their spines. Ben ran to the door and tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. "It's locked!" he exclaimed, rattling the doorknob. The scratching noise behind the door intensified, followed by soft, mournful cries. Panic started to set in. Emily began to cry. Chris tried to comfort her. Jake, his face pale, turned to Kelly. "This isn't funny anymore," he stammered. "Let's get out of here." But it was too late. The floor beneath them began to tremble. The walls seemed to close in. A cold wind swept through the hallway, extinguishing their only source of light. They were plunged into absolute darkness. Screams filled the air as one by one the friends began to disappear. First Jake, then Emily, then Chris. Each vanishing was accompanied by a gust of icy wind and a blood-curdling scream. Kelly and Ben clung to each other in terror. "What's happening?" screamed Kelly over the roaring wind. Section 7. Alone with the shadows. The wind died down as quickly as it had started. Kelly and Ben were left standing in the darkness, their hearts pounding. They were alone. "Ben?" whispered Kelly, her voice trembling. There was no answer. She reached out, her hand meeting only empty air. "Ben!" she screamed again, her voice echoing through the empty hallway. Terror gripped her. She was all alone. The floor was cold beneath her feet. The air was thick with the smell of death and decay. She could hear her own breath echoing in the silence. Suddenly, she heard it. A soft, mournful cry. It seemed to be coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. It was the sound of pure despair. Section 8. Dawn breaks, hope fades. Kelly stumbled back, her eyes wide with terror. She had to get out, now! She turned and ran blindly down the hallway, her only thought escape. She raced down the creaking stairs, her lungs burning. She didn't dare look back. She burst through the front door and into the cool night air. The storm had passed. The first rays of dawn were just beginning to break over the horizon. Kelly ran until she reached the bottom of the hill. She didn't stop running until she reached the safety of her own home. She had escaped Blackwood Manor, but her friends, she had left them behind. Section 9. The town in terror. News of the teenagers' disappearance spread through Harmony Heights like wildfire. A search party was organized. They scoured every inch of Blackwood Manor and the surrounding woods. They found no trace of the missing teenagers, no sign of a struggle, no sign of life. It was as if they had vanished into thin air. The town was in shock. Parents wept for their missing children. Neighbors whispered about the curse of Blackwood Manor. The police were baffled. They had no leads, no suspects, no explanation. Section 10. Blackwood's grip. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. The missing teenagers were never found. The mystery of their disappearance remained unsolved. Blackwood Manor stood on the hill, a constant reminder of the tragedy. Some people said they could still hear the screams of the missing teenagers echoing in the wind. Others said they had seen strange lights flickering in the windows at night. Harmony Heights was no longer a peaceful town. The shadow of Blackwood Manor had fallen over it, casting a pall of fear and uncertainty. No one dared to go near the house again, and the legend of the Blackwood family lived on, a chilling reminder that some secrets are best left buried.